The master program in Indigenous governance offers an unique opportunity to students from different cultural backgrounds, Indigenous, non-Indigenous, Canadians and non-Canadians, to have a space for open discussion and study and research on contemporary issues that affect the life and the future of Indigenous people. We have a very diverse faculty with background in economics, in law, in natural science, human ecology, in sociology, in anthropology, who are willing to work with our students. At the same time, the student they have the opportunity to choose co-advisors from other departments at the university. What is innovative here is that a student could take the practical stream and have an internship with First Nation communities or NGOs or indigenous NGOs or other organizations that work and government agencies that work on indigenous issues and get this practical training and develop this professional skill.
During my undergrad, I was one of a few students that were chosen to help design the program. Myself, Wendy McNabb, and Larry Chartrand got a group of elders together to help us design the core course called Pathways to Indigenous Wisdom. And through their advice and their direction, the program was developed and the criteria for everything that would become the Indigenous Governance Program. And that was one of the reasons why I chose this program over all the others that I had applied to, was that it was going to be focused on Indigenous epistemologies, and Indigenous ontologies, and Indigenous pedagogy.
My name is Sailesh Shukla, and my spirit name is Precious Stone, and I come from the great land of Himalayas. And I also got my spirit name from First Nations here. That's Babaiska Maingan Dizinakas Makwandudam. That's my spirit name, which is White Wolf, and my clan is Bear Clan. And this is a spirit name that two elders gave me, Stella Blackbird and Audrey Bone, during the field courses. I have been teaching in this Masters in Indigenous Governance program for the last 5 years now. And I really love the program because I think the program is unique in the sense that it really attracts people who would like to work in Indigenous governance issues, not only just in Canada, but internationally as well. And there are so many parallels between here in Canada as well as internationally that many Indigenous communities across the globe face. For example, one of my research interests is Indigenous food systems and Indigenous food sovereignty, and many of my students are working on collecting primary data and trying to understand the indigenous food systems of the world. They have been to Africa, in Nigeria, Dominica, some of the Commonwealth countries, India, South Asia, Nepal, but also in Canada. There's 3 students working on indigenous food systems, and they're looking at how can we strengthen this is great heritage that it can become, in fact, indigenous food sovereignty can become a good sort of angle to strengthen indigenous governance.
When I moved here from the National University of Colombia, I was able to continue my research interest on indigenous knowledge, of system of protection of indigenous knowledge, and issues related to biodiversity and genetic resources. But at the same time, this allows me the opportunity to contact a scholar from Canada and other parts to work in partnership for research projects that we have taken in the Latin American region. And also, I became very interested in the area of indigenous education. The University of Winnipeg in particular has been developing a very extraordinary effort on indigenization of the academy, and just recently introduced one course, which is a course requirement for all the students who enter in this university to take one course on indigenous issues, indigenous culture, indigenous ways of knowing indigenous history, one of those options. So things are changing.
I chose to take this program because it's a unique program in Canada. I wanted to go into a master's program, and this program, it caught my interest just by the title itself, Indigenous governance. I believe that we need a lot of our Aboriginal people to, get higher education, and this master's program is definitely something that I would recommend to others to take. The research interests are cultural revitalization. I truly believe in revitalizing our culture for our young people. Our young people, some of them don't know our culture, so that is something that I like to research.
My research interest is in the field of food security, indigenous food, and rural sustainable development. I saw how people can move from having plenty to nothing in a couple of weeks or months because of environmental issues. And because of the unique way of life of indigenous people, they depend on the environment, on the resources in the environment for their livelihood.
One of the main aspects of this program is that it is really encouraged that you do primary research on topics that aren't being explored, so that you are creating groundbreaking knowledge in your field of interest. Having practical applications for your research is a main aspect. There's an emphasis on having participants kind of guide us in what they actually want to convey, and what they see as important for the university to be spreading, what sort of knowledge is most important to them. So that there's sort of this advocacy aspect as well, which is, I think, unique to the U of W.
For my thesis, I was thinking about doing stuff, because I have a background in film, I was thinking about doing research on Indigenous representation in film, and how we can do that in a positive way, and have that from a more of an Indigenous perspective, rather than us being represented through other people. I think it's important that Indigenous people represent themselves. So that's something I've been thinking about, and I'm also very interested in high schools on reserves, and making it so that youth don't have to leave their community to pursue education. I think that's really important.
It is, first of all, a very multi-disciplinary program. And the focus it's very diverse. It's not just concerned on one aspect, it's concerned on many aspects of indigenous communities, whether it's culture, language, issues in governance and self-determination, and research, methodology, even storytelling, different and cultural teaching. So it's kind of a very comprehensive program, and it is very advantageous. It has many advantages in that sense that you are introduced into many different ways of understanding indigenous governance issues, and indigenous self-determination issues, and indigenous rights issues, and indigenous research methods issue. And it is mandatory when you come into this department, and when you start taking up your courses. They are mandatory courses in terms of language, so you're not only just exposed to the you also you're exposed to learn and understand indigenous community issues and indigenous governance issues from side of culture and language.
I chose this program coming from a social work background and wanting to expand my knowledge in ways that I can make a difference in the Indigenous community through policies and systems, so on a bigger scale. This program was of particular interest to me because it's very small size, the classes are really small, and the faculty is such a diverse group with lots of expertise and passion in a variety of areas. So that was a big selling feature for me. The community feel of the program amongst the staff and students, and in the community and working with Indigenous people are all really great strengths of this program.